and welcome to the Power Gamer Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Dawson, joined as always by fellow host Johnny Paulus. Johnny, welcome in this fine, I guess, day before Valentine's Day. How are you, sir?
Good. February 12th is actually the anniversary of when me and my wife were officially a couple. Changed our status on MySpace as no longer single 14 years ago today.
You could put a gun against my head or Amy's and ask us what that day was, and I don't think neither one of us could tell you.
Yeah, February 12th.
I guess that's cool. That you know, I deleted my Facebook at some point, so some of that history, that past of friend anniversaries and stuff, is gone for me. But you have it. Look at you.
Yeah.
And then how many years after that did you guys get married? I forget.
I guess about 2. We moved pretty quick.
That's, I guess, quick by today's standards.
That's quick by today's standards. When you know, you know.
So many people these days seem to just perpetually date one another until they get sick of each other. And they don't understand that's what marriage is for.
Right.
Is figuring out how to get past that.
Yeah.
So I guess you weren't the one. And then, yeah.
Yeah,
go their separate ways, then you're like, what the fuck are you doing?
Or that couple that's boyfriend-girlfriend for like 8 years. It's just like, what are you doing? Like, just at least get the tax. I mean, the tax write-off, the taxes alone are worth it. Like,
yeah, if you're worried about splitting, just sign a fucking prenup and let's go.
Exactly. Get it done.
You know? Jesus Christ. Yeah, so, that's as romantic a prelude to Valentine's Day as I think someone could give. Just get the fucking prenup. Man. That's how you should celebrate Valentine's Day, is just go to the lawyer's office,
get the prenup,
get the fucking prenup, and collect your tax deductions. That's how you do it. So yeah, it's been a week, but not really a whole lot to talk about in terms of work or life or anything like that for me. It's been a pretty uneventful existence in my basement. We did do over with the church, like a big coffee house thing, which like a lot of the people there, you know, they didn't have the opportunities that you or I had, you know, playing shows at bars and stuff. So like, this is their like one, like big moment to perform or whatever. So,
right.
It was cool helping them out with that. I played bass for some people doing that, and played a song or two, which I haven't done in years, you know, in any capacity, because I used to have to do that for work, so I don't find it very fun or exciting. It's like, this reminds me of how I used to get my bills paid.
Facts.
When I was poor, because you have a guitar and you can sing, well, you can make an earning. Decent earnings doing that. So, yeah, we did that on Saturday. That was fun. And I had one of those glorious 11-hour sleeps last night.
Oh, you lucky fucker.
So, yeah, I got Hell Hero has gone live. And I'm like, no, not tonight, motherfucker. I'm going to bed.
So 2 nights ago, we got raided right after you went to bed. Dara JN rated us again.
I was there.
Oh, you were? Okay.
Yeah.
So Dara JN rated again with like 1,000 people. And I retained like about 600 of them. Pretty good. And then the following day, last night, I had 50 people on the channel organically. No raid, no nothing. 50 people.
Well, I guess you just have to keep being a nightly presence. If you are starting to realize your dreams and aspirations of getting into Twitch streaming.
Yeah.
I guess here's a quick interview, I guess, at the long-awaited beginning of Johnny's streaming career. I mean, you've been streaming for a long time. I guess I've been there since the start of it, for the most part.
Yeah, there was a few months I was kind of flying solo, yeah. But for the most part, yeah.
How is just playing one game every night?
I'm ridiculously hooked on Marvel Snap, so I don't mind at all. I really don't.
That's cool.
Yeah, I am very hooked on the game. They managed to keep the meta fresh, and when they have these different hot locations, then you start thinking about, okay, what kind of deck can I climb with because of this hot location? And we get people in the chat making suggestions. Why is this card in there? Wouldn't this card be better? And I don't know. I haven't burnt out on it yet. So far, I'm really enjoying Marvel Snap a lot. I mean, I play it when I'm not streaming, and when I'm streaming, I'm playing it. So it's just, I'm really, really hooked on that game.
Yeah, the thing that was always hard for me, and why I quickly realized that I never have any aspirations of like streaming in any professional capacity, is like I cannot play the same game every day, or B, sit still for long enough to be a streamer. Because, I always say, well, anything you do in life, look forward to two steps. If you're setting out to do streaming, and I think you can do this, but I'm just saying that I know I can't.
Right.
Even just watching Jay do this. The 8 hours of playing games, I cannot do. A full-time shift's worth of that. I can't do it. I don't know how people do that. I have no fucking clue how people do that.
If I found a way for it to be comfortably my primary income, I could do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I just don't think I could.
Oh, yeah, I know I could.
Yeah, it's like, I really like playing Star Citizen, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can play it for maybe 2 hours tops before I'm like, I need to go do something else, or I'm going to go crazy.
Fair enough.
So I don't know how and I guess this is one of those things, some people might not think about until they're faced with the situation of decision. It's like, no, streaming's not for everyone, and it's not easy.
No, it's not.
And you do definitely need to have the ability to talk for that long, but also B, the ability to sit there and actually do that, which I think is very difficult. So for those who can, hats off. And even more so for those that can do a different game every day and have the audience there. That's what I've always been like. That's extra impressive.
Yeah.
When people can do that. So welcome in. It is episode 104 of the Power Gamer Podcast. We're going to start this week's episode, as we always do, by talking about what games we've been playing this week. So, Johnny, let's start with you. Let's just
Sure.
get the energy flowing here. Get your gums flapping. And why don't you tell us about what you've been playing so far this week?
Been playing a lot of Forspoken. I've played Forspoken almost every day since we did the last podcast. There's like 4 big bosses, and I finally downed one of them. And I kind of have a feel for the gameplay loop. And now as I'm leveling up more spells and I've gained the next tree of spells. So the way that the spells work in the game, and this was one of the things I was complaining about in the demo because I had too many things at my disposal. I didn't understand what I was doing. You basically have your primary attack is your R2, similar to like God of War or something like that. And then your secondary attack is L2, and then your bumpers for those two sort of slow down the game and let you pick a different one. So, like, for example, my first set of spells, on my secondary, I have a shield, I have like a little plant that is a turret, I have a bomb, I have a poison, I have all these different kinds of side spells. And then on my other one, it's like my primary weapon. Do I want one that spells that fire slow and hit hard, or do I want one that shoots a lot of stuff really fast? And for a very, very long time into this game, it felt like a shooter. All I had was cast spells and turrets and throw rocks and cast spells. And now that I've killed this first boss, I now have a whole new tree of spells available to me, and most of them are involving a giant flame sword. So now, at any point in time, I can hit left or right on the D-pad to switch between, do I want the rock-based range attacks, or do I want the flame-based closer attacks? I can instantaneously change. So I can already see how dense this combat system is, and the combat is really, truly fun. That is where this game shines, is the combat. The combat is so much fun. I am starting to see the stink now, though. These side quests are the worst thing ever. They are the worst side quests I've ever seen. I did one today where after we killed the first boss and everyone in the town is celebrating, it's like, take part in the festivities, which we've all played a game that does this, where everybody's celebrating and you got to go circle back to the other people that you've, interacted with up until this point, and here they're, we're so excited, we're so glad, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So one of them is like, I'm so happy, we must dance. And you're like, do you want to do the dance? And you're like, yes. And it comes up with like a dancing mini game, okay? This mini game was literally an X in the middle of the screen with a line going around it. So you had 4 seconds to press the X button. So you press the X button, and then it's square. You're like, okay, square. And then triangle. Okay, triangle. And then circle. All right. And then everybody goes, yay! And then that was the dance. Literally, I pressed 4 or 5 buttons. And you just why? Why is this a minigame? Why did you wasted my time, you wasted your time. You could have just had the guy say, I'm so happy, let's dance. And she's like, what are we doing? Why are we dancing? Oh, and just make a thing out of it. Why does it need to be a minigame? It doesn't. Then, after that moment, then there's a checkpoint marker on the person 10 feet outside of the door. So I go and I talk to them, and they're like, we believed in you the whole time. You're our hero. And then there's another checkpoint. Somebody else 50 feet away. Oh, I can't believe you did it. We had our doubts, but you really pulled through for us. This goes on for 5 minutes, Mike.
You know what's hilarious? And I can't be the only one sitting here thinking this.
What?
So, ignoring Johnny for a second and just addressing you listeners, this sounds fucking great. Go ahead, Johnny. Keep telling us about how terrible this is. You're really doing a great job of selling it being the worst thing ever.
No, it's not the worst thing ever. I'm just saying
you said it was the worst side quest ever.
The side quests. The side quests are terrible. Okay, 90% of the side quests that I've done have been...
This one sounds great.
Just talking to people?
I mean, okay.
Literally, Mike, it's walk to this person, press X,
That's
they
fine,
talk.
But it's optional.
Walk to that person, press X, they talk.
But it's optional, right?
Incorrect. This one was not optional.
Oh, so that's not a side quest.
There are other side quests that involve a cat, that you follow the cat and you get a figure at the end. And then there are other side quests. I mean, it's just I have yet to have a side quest where I meet a character that I give a fuck about, that I want to help. All these side quests are really bad. Really, really, really bad.
But this is the main quest, though. This isn't a side quest.
This was not that example I gave was not a side quest. Okay, so the next side quest is one of the main characters in the town. She had collapsed from helping everybody. She was too overworked. And the main character's like, well, you need to rest. How can I help you? And she's like, well, you could help attend to the sick and you could pick up our rations. Like, okay. So, again, same concept. Marks a person on the map. You go over and you press X on them. Marks another person on the map. You go to them. You press X on them. Marks another person on the map. You go to them. You press X on them. Okay, now we got to go get the rations. What's that going to entail? Oh, walking to that person and pressing X. Mind-numbingly stupid.
I hear you, right? But can't you say the same thing about side quests in Assassin's Creed Odyssey? You've literally described one of them I can think of off the top of my head.
There are some like that, yes. I don't disagree there.
What I want to make sure of is we aren't actively just trying to find something to bitch about that's not present in other games.
No.
What you've described so far, I can point to in games that you like.
Yes, but so in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, let's say you get a fetch quest.
Or let me pause you, though, too.
Sure.
Because you do have a tendency, and listeners of long time know that I've kind of talked about this before. where you sometimes forget to remind people that you like the thing that you're complaining about.
No, I'm enjoying the game.
So you do like the game.
Yes, I do.
What do you like about it?
Like I said, the combat is really great.
Is the story good at all, or
the universe is cool? Some of the writing's really bad.
Well, that's what people have said, is that some of the dialogue is very Marvel movie-esque, but
it's way below that.
It's way below that.
Way below that. There's just like I know I ranted about it last week with the cursing, but to be like in a big epic boss battle fight where, you know, the villain is saying her diatribes of fanciful things that evil villains say in fantasy films, and then your main character's just like, oh, fuck off. It's just like, I'm getting tired of this.
Sure.
But no, I mean, I will put it this way. If you saw the trailers for this game and you were intrigued, and then you saw the review scores and went, that sucks, I would pick this game up for $30-$40, which I'd imagine it's going to be in that price point, if not now, very soon, because this game was a pretty big flop. I wouldn't spend $70 on it. It doesn't quite have that AAA sheen. There's a lot of it that doesn't feel fully fleshed out, and the example I gave with the side quests there, there's a lot of little examples where you can tell that they wanted to put more there, and they either ran out of time or ran out of money or didn't have a chance to iron that part out. But like, one of the things that's really cool, and I don't know if they're all going to work this way, but the main area where I had to like fight that first boss, it wasn't your standard like Zelda dungeon, right? Where you go in and it's like enclosed spaces. It was still open world. It was like I went through this gate and it let me know like you're not going to be able to return until you're done. I'm like, all right. And I go in and it's still like a separate open world. The environment was different, but I could still climb up walls and parkour everywhere and see enemies far off into the distance. The game is a lot of fun. The traversal is great. The skill tree is really fucking cool. The combat's great. But yeah, the side quests are pretty dull. Some of the dialogue's bad. But I mean, overall, I am still very much enjoying the game. I'm still playing it. I've played it every night and I am having fun with it. I've also had 2 more sessions with Final Fantasy XII Zodiac Age. I finally found my way to the Gambit store, which lets you buy more of those. Talked about it last week, how you build your list of commands. Like, if ally is below 30% health, heal them. If ally is KO'd, use a Phoenix down.
Right.
You know, if enemy is targeting lead, attack them. So I finally found the shop in the main town where you can buy those things. And thankfully they're really cheap. So I was like, boom, 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 boom. So now I just have to level up the characters a little bit more so they have a few more slots on the thing. But the story's starting to unfold a little bit. It's really funny. You can tell that Square Enix knew that this game is grindy because they have built in a speed up time button for the combat. So when you get to a point where you're like, okay, I just got to go farm this material, you can put the combat at 4 times speed and literally play the entire game using nothing but the left thumbstick and just walking up to enemies and waiting till they're dead. So I think that probably cuts down on the playtime quite a bit, which is good. But I'm still having a lot of fun with it. The most exciting thing I played this week is they finally released the System Shock Remake demo on Steam. And if anybody remembers our fantasy draft, this was probably the weirdest choice that I picked on mine. I have a feeling about this one. System Shock, way back when, was, I'm just going to go ahead and say, one of the most influential first-person shooters of all time. I don't think BioShock would have existed without it. I don't think Half-Life would have existed without it. Deus Ex wouldn't have existed without it. A lot of these big sort of RPG-esque, puzzle-centric, skill tree first-person shooter games, those things wouldn't have existed without System Shock. And this team has been working on this remake for like a long time. I think it's been like 7 or 8 or 10 years. It's been a very, very, very long time. And one of the really cool things about the graphical style of this demo is that bird's eye view, when things are in motion, it looks like a modern first-person shooter. But when you stop and you look at things closely, they sort of have that late 90s, early 2000s texture on them. It kind of reminded me a little bit of... Mike, you remember how in Valheim the graphics were sort of pixely?
Yeah, they were like PS1-esque.
But the effects in the game were not, right? Like the lighting and the shadows and like all of that shit is like top tier. But the textures, when you just stop and look at them, they are sort of pixel arty, and it kind of has that effect. And I'm really impressed with what they've done so far. I played that for maybe 2 hours and said, okay, I'm sold. You'll have my money when it comes out. I can't wait to play it again. And lastly, a game we're going to talk about a little bit more in a bit came completely out of nowhere, Metroid Prime Remastered. This is not just a fresh coat of paint. This game has some major graphical improvements. I saw a side-by-side on YouTube of even just the leaves, the water, the shadows, the lighting, everything is crazy improved. And it came completely out of nowhere. And the best part is I handed the controller to my 10-year-old, who's the big gamer in the house other than me. And he's already killed the ice Shelob or whatever she's called, the ice boss in that game. So he's a good, I don't know, halfway through that game already. He is absolutely in love with it. So that's what I've been playing this week.
Yeah, the System Shock I kind of wanted to swing back around to, because we talked about this last year. Namely because so for those that aren't aware, I mean, System Shock's an old game. It came out originally in 1994.
Yes, very old.
There was a enhanced edition of the original game that was put out in 2015 by its new development team, which is Night Dive Studios. 2016 came around, and that had created enough interest for them to do a Kickstarter for this remake, which we're now talking about, that's about to come out, next month?
Yep, next month.
And that was in 2016. The reason why we talked about this about a year ago was when we did our story on Chris Avallone, the guy that had all the sexual misconduct charges brought against him that were never fully substantiated or whatever. But that whole game got put on hold, and they restarted development in 2018. So they basically threw out everything they did and started over. So yeah, the game's been in development technically since 2016, although the current iteration started to get put together in about 2019.
Yeah.
So this thing has been a long time coming. And originally it was being built in Unity, but now it's done in Unreal. Yeah. I believe Unreal Engine 4.
I think that's correct. Yeah.
Is what the game's being made in, which is definitely preferable to Unity.
100%, yes.
So this should be a pretty good-looking game, and it's coming to consoles also. So keep your eyes peeled for this one. It should be pretty cool when it comes out next month.
I was very excited to see that. From what I can tell so far, it appears to do it justice, and it is a very good game. I have not played in a very long time, because it's in that weird era. Those late 90s, early 2000s is that era where the 3D graphics were so fugly that they don't hold up in a lot of cases. You go back and are like, "Ooh, I can't play this." So it's nice to see a full remake. I know you do. I can't look at them half the time.
All right,
nuts.
Let's talk about some different games. Let's talk about the ones that I've been playing this week. I'll get the recurring Star Citizen out of the way. Still playing that. Still loving it. We're on the cusp of a new patch that's going to completely reset the game. So if you've been thinking, hey, I bought this game a long time ago, maybe I should think about getting into it. Now is a great time, because when patch 3.18 comes out, the servers are reset back to square one. And everyone starts the game over when that iteration of the alpha comes out. So good time to get into it if you haven't already. The playing field will be completely flattened and leveled as everyone goes back to zero. And you can get in with a good starter ship for about $45. So definitely worth checking out. All right, on to the good stuff. Hi-Fi Rush. I haven't talked about this game in a couple weeks because I started it and went, wow, that's really cool. Then I got busy with other stuff, namely Triangle Strategy, and did not return. So today I did return, and I beat a good portion of the game. I'd say I'm probably more than a third of the way through. I've taken down a few bosses. I've met all the characters. I don't know if Mr. Paulus here, who has played the game, but I think kind of same boat, might have checked it out release day, and that was that. But the other characters in this game are awesome. Really awesome. Big fan of Peppermint and Macaron. The boss fights are really, really good. And once you have like the full set of abilities for Chai, so like the grappling hook and the parry system and all this stuff, the game just gets really awesome. So if you're one of those people that kind of sat down, installed it, fiddled around with it some, and maybe didn't even get past the first boss, which more than 70% of you have not, stop fucking around. Put in Hi-Fi Rush and play that shit. This game is awesome. And it seems like anytime Tango Games puts out a game recently, I have to tell people vigorously to play it. Don't wait on this. Just play it. It's very short. I think it's a 6-7 hour long game. Does not take a lot of time to beat and is very, very good. Hi-Fi Rush. It's on Game Pass. And it's everywhere else, so check it out. It's cheap. The game that I've spent undoubtedly the most time with this past week is one that I think my fellow host here would like very much. And that game is Diofield Chronicles. And it's an interesting game. So Diofield Chronicles is basically a Victorian-era XCOM, is the way to put it. Because it plays very similarly to an XCOM game or Marvel Midnight Suns. Just it's a square game. So it's got all the good JRPG style storytelling. It has the home base, very much like Midnight Suns has, and XCOM, where you can interact with all your other characters and partake on different side quests and things. But then when you actually get into the physical game world, it's an isometric view, tactical strategy game. And it's real time. So where you can pause it at any point that you want. So it's kind of one of those type dealies. So it's not really a real-time strategy in the sense of like a StarCraft or something like that. It's very much closer to like an XCOM. It's just not like a hard-baked turn-based system, even though there's all those mechanisms happening behind the scenes. Because at any point, like I'm playing it on Switch, if I just want to stop what's happening, I just hit A and we can stop and think about what's going on. So maybe a little bit like Dragon Age in that facet.
Yeah, say that kind of reminds me of like the Pillars of Eternity games.
Yeah, that or
that way.
Pillars of Eternity. It did actually remind me a little bit of Divinity, just not as complicated. It's a lot more straightforward. And what's cool in this game is all of the battles. I haven't run into one that takes longer than 5 or 6 minutes. They're quick. So you blast through combat scenarios. And the story is very good. The writing's good, which is not surprising considering it's a square RPG style game. This, if we're tiering these recent Square, because I've been working through a lot of them lately, like Triangle Strategy is obviously God tier for me. This is definitely not on that same level,
right?
But it's very good. So I am enjoying it. I thought, on my first hour with it, I'm like, this is not maybe it. But then I just kind of stuck with it. And now I'm completely hooked. And I'm like, okay, yes, this game is very good.
Cool.
And enjoying it a lot. It's a very different flavor of game than what I typically play, and I would recommend it at this point. So Diofield Chronicles, you can get it on your stinky Switch, or you can play it over on PC, which is probably the better place to play a game like this. But certainly I'm not having any issues with it on my Switch. Next, God of War Ragnarok. I finally put in a solid chunk of time on God of War Ragnarok. I am well into completing, I guess, what would be the second zone of it, where I'm with the dwarves and their realm, if you will.
Yep.
And it's a continuation of God of War 2018.
It's like putting on a comfy old pair of shoes, isn't it?
It's indistinguishable from the previous game in basically every possible way. So far my feelings on it are pretty much identical to the first game, which is that, yeah, it's good. And it's just good. The combat's not really revolutionary or anything. It's still got the parry system that feels bad. And for the most part, you kill everything in front of you by mashing R1 or mashing R2, and things die, and you can throw your axe and things die, and you stomp on the health thing and your health comes back. And yeah, it's God of War just right where it left off from 2018. So yeah. So here's my point of where I'm going.
I was going to say, this is a hot take here.
That's not a hot take. It's exactly the same. How is it different?
No, I'm not saying, I'm not arguing with that point. I'm saying the fact that you said, I feel the same way as I did about it with the first one, which is that it's good. It's just good.
It is just good.
So you don't think the first God of War was awesome, amazing, fantastic?
I thought it was
great?
good. I didn't think the first God of War was the best video game I ever played.
I didn't think it was the best video game I ever played, but
or top 10.
No, I don't think it's top 10.
Yeah, it's just fine. The story's not great, it's good. The combat's not great, it's good. The fact that there's no bugs or anything is thumbs up, you did your job. But yeah, I mean, I thought the first game was a solid like 8.2, 8.5.
Oof. No, I don't go that low.
But I think that means the thing is good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't find this game exceptional. I don't find the game to be the most amazing shit I've ever played. You know, when I think about games like that, we're having conversation about a different breed of game at that point. We're talking about Red Dead Redemption 2s and things of that caliber. And this isn't anywhere close to that. So, you know, it's very good, though. So, nobody get my words twisted, because I'm going to be talking about this game for a couple weeks. But I don't feel like every time I talk about what's wrong with this game that I have to first say that the game's very good. Because the game's very good. But if it's just like God of War 2018, which so far it is, and I don't think that's going to change a whole lot between now and when I finish the game, then there's some things that I'm confused about. Like, what the fuck took them so long to put this game out? Because the UI is exactly the same. The combat's the same. The animations for combat's the fucking same. Okay, you had to make our Trace's character model a little bit bigger. But so far, it's the same game.
You did hit right there one of my main gripes with the game, which is that even the kill animations, most of them are recycled.
It's the same game. It's just continued. So it's like, okay, of course it's good, because we just continued what was already good.
Right.
It's, you know, the same thing that Horizon Forbidden West did.
Yep.
It's not really all that different. I mean, Horizon was a huge step forward graphically, where I don't feel like this game is as big a step forward in terms of graphics. It just runs at 60, which it should, just like Horizon did.
Yeah.
But you know, it's fine. It's good. Is it a game of the year? Next to Elden Ring? I think fucking no.
Yeah, we disagree there.
Well, that's just because you had a bad time with it, and it was your first From Software game that you could even stomach. If we're being plain, I mean, Elden Ring completely fucking changed shit. We're going to see the industry trying to emulate what they did. Versus God of War, where it's like, well, we've already had, 6 years for people to do that? Because they didn't change anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I get that you like the game better, but I'm just speaking broadly that if I put the two next to each other, now that I've really sat down and played, a solid amount of time, and I don't, I get it. Like, people that like the first game are like, great, I get to play more of that game. It's like, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you do. It's exactly the same. There's the same boat with the same talking head and the same everything from 2018 all over again. And you even still get to do all the same crawling between walls fucking constantly because it was designed for the PS4.
Thanks, PS4. Yeah, that is annoying.
So it's good. It's fine. Is it a game of the year? Fuck no. It I can easily say at this point that it does not deserve that accolade for any reason other than maybe story. It's just not. But it's good. I don't feel like I have to.
The story is outstanding. You're in for a good time.
Yes. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be a little bit more in depth than the first one's was, because that was kind of a weak point of the first game, was it's like kind of anticlimactic in how it progressed and ended. So considering that I know coming into this that they plan to tie up everything in this one game, yeah, I'd imagine there's a lot more that's going to be happening here. So no, I'm very much enjoying it, though. It's a great game. My first observation, and I just want to put these sentiments out there so anyone else that's like, am I crazy? Does this just feel exactly the same? Yes, it's exactly the same as the last game. They didn't change a fucking thing. And that's fine, but it is what it is. And the 800-pound gorilla, then, when we talk about that game and we have someone giving a fresh take on it, is always going to be, well, what about the Game of the Year thing? It won at the Game of the Year, with a lot of people. It didn't win everywhere. And I would say just clearly no. But everything about it was very good. Same thing with Horizon Forbidden West. That game also did not deserve to be winning Game of the Year the same year that Elden Ring came out. Even though me personally, I enjoyed that game more, objectively speaking, it was overshadowed by excellence. And I think that's something that both of these games suffered from, is just that they're reiterations of the exact thing that they came from.
Yep.
Which, if you like the thing it came from, it's like, Johnny, do you like chocolate cake?
Yeah.
Would you like more chocolate cake, sir?
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
Well, I mean, it's like Doom going into Doom Eternal. It's the same thing.
They added a couple of things, but it's still chocolate cake.
Yep.
They maybe put some jimmies on top of it this time.
Yep.
Of a different color than the jimmies on the previous one, but it's still the same cake. So, yeah, is it good? Yes. But then the follow-up question I'm asking myself is, did it deserve to be Game of the Year? No. Does it deserve to be someone's favorite Game of the Year? Yes. Because it's very good, but it wasn't my favorite. The first one wasn't my favorite game when I played it, and I can just tell you straight up, just this one also won't be, even though I will still enjoy it. When I look back on games from 2022, I'm going to say I liked Horizon better, just because that's more my cup of tea.
God of War Ragnarok was without a doubt my favorite game I played in all of 2020.
Yes. Yes, Johnny loves the boy simulator. Boy. I kind of wish the combat was a little bit more brutal. You know what I mean? Did it bug you that things just kind of turn into leaves and disappear? But
there's some brutal shit.
It's like diet brutal though.
No, there's a couple kill animations. There's one in particular. I don't want to spoil anything, but even when Kratos did it, Mimir was like, "Well, I'm gonna be seeing that in my nightmares tonight."
Okay, cool. Yeah, speaking of good kill animations, how about the fucking bloater on Last of Us this week?
Ooh, buddy. Oh my god, so good.
That was very good.
So good.
Ladies and gentlemen, Nintendo decided to make our jobs easy for us this week.
Yeah, buddy.
So we're going to do, as tradition dictates, a pick 3 based on this past week's Nintendo Direct, which was very good. So the way that this works is each me and Johnny are going to highlight 3 things from the show that we want to talk about. I will give the caveat that every single announcement they made in the show, besides the fashion designer bullshit, was good. And even the fashion designer thing for some person's like young daughter or whatever, is going to love it.
Yeah.
That was the only thing. What I'm saying is, of everything they showed, I was personally excited to check out everything but that.
I saw that trailer, was like, I think my wife would like this.
She probably would. Like, it looks like Animal Crossing, but just the clothes.
Yeah, but just outfits, yep.
Right. Let's get started. My first pick, Disney Illusion Island, which comes out July 28th. So Disney Illusion Island is a really fucking dumb-sounding name that might make you think of Animal Crossing or a game of that sort. But fear not. Disney Illusion Island is an old-school-looking 2D platformer that looks, A, difficult, but also, B, awesome. Really awesome. I love a good 2D platformer. And everything I saw in the presentation of this game reeks of good 2D platformer.
Yeah.
And it also has one of my favorite things, strong couch co-op and online multiplayer, where you can play with up to 4 people the same game. And what I noticed particularly, and this is something I always look for when I'm looking at platformers and multiplayer, is screen drag. Now, for any of you not aware or too young to know, screen drag is what happens when one person playing is a lot fucking better than the other person. And they end up dragging the screen and fucking killing the other person trying to play with them. They seem to have that under control pretty well, at least in everything that we saw in the presentation. The screens seem to be fairly static, and it would just zoom out, and everyone would play in the play area, which is the way that it should be. And the bosses look cool and challenging. Actual like platforming mechanics.
Yeah.
And I love this generation, the one that they chose for the art direction. The most current generation of the Mickey Mouse artwork, which is kind of a hat tip to the original Mickey Mouse, but just with some updates. They're using that art style, the one that's been around for like the past 10 years that they did the latest Mickey cartoon with. Really good stuff. So I'm very excited for this. I think the game will do pretty well.
I do too.
We're hungry for 2D platformers like this. People old and young. So Disney Illusion Island is my first pick, coming out July 28th. Johnny, did you have anything to say on Illusion Island, or do you want to move on to your first pick?
Yeah, that game looks like, I remembered seeing a game on Steam. I've never played it, but it's been in my wish list for a while, and I've looked at it 100 times. It's called Speedrunners. And it has that same dynamic where it's couch co-op, multiple people playing at the same time, trying to get through. Now, in that game, I think you're actually trying to race one another. But this Disney Illusion Island made me think of Rayman Legends and Speedrunners had a baby. If I had to like really quickly describe it to somebody, that's what it looks like. But no, it looks like a blast. So yeah, that looks awesome. My first choice for the pick 3, I already mentioned it earlier, Metroid Prime Remastered. Y'all, if you have not played Metroid Prime, the original first Metroid Prime, Samus's first iteration into the 3D world, tackled by Retro Studios in the first-person perspective. I've thought about it quite a bit before the podcast leading up to this, and I think I'm still cemented there. I think Metroid Prime is still in my top 5 favorite games of all time. It is about as close to a masterpiece as you can get. I love the you have a scan visor. So everywhere you go at any point in time, you can turn on your scan visor and you can scan your environment. You can scan a corpse and figure out how it died and how long it's been there. You can scan a wall to see if there's a weakness. You can scan a computer to see, what the lab data was on the Metroid, the last reading that they had. You feel like you're exploring these old relics in these old tombs and trying to figure your way out. And there's a lot of puzzles, but they're very organic puzzles. There's not a lot of move this brick to that brick and then turn that gear. There really isn't that. The puzzle nature is more figuring out how to get to the next thing, right? Like what's the new power up that I have? How do I use that new power up to get to these new areas? And it's a fucking masterpiece. I mean, if it's not a 10, it's damn close. And I'm really happy to say that the remaster does it justice. The rain falling on the helmet, the shadows in the game, the lighting, the textures. When my 10-year-old was playing it and he got to the Ice Shelob boss, I noticed it's actually a slightly different model. Its face is a little different. It's a little more menacing, and I thought I was crazy. And I went and I just pulled up YouTube and pulled up that fight and saw the original GameCube version of that game. And no, it's a different model. I mean, it's based on the same, you'd look at it and know it's the Ice Shelob or whatever it's called, but the face is totally different, and it looks way scarier on the remastered. So, I hope this is the direction Nintendo does more of, is give us a remaster and make it $40. Instead of a half-baked reskin and make it $60. I know Metroid Prime is not their biggest seller, and that's probably why this is $40, but I think we should support them in their decision, and they did a good thing, and I think everybody should go buy it. It's out digital right now. You can buy it on your Steam as you're listening to this, or if you'd rather wait and have the case and the cartridge, you can buy it physically February 22nd.
So my second pick is kind of a broad umbrella, right? It's all the old RPG collections, which there was two in particular that they announced that are really cool. So if you don't know about them, guess what? You're about to learn. So the first one that they mentioned was that they were coming back with a Etrian Odyssey collection. Now, for those that don't know, Etrian Odyssey is a game series that harkens back to the DS. There's actually in total 5 games in the series. This first collection, I'm assuming they're going to do 2. Because, there's 5 numbered ones. There's 6 actually. So, but Etrian Odyssey 1, 2, and 3 are going to be in this kind of bundle remaster that's coming out June 1st. Those games are very expensive to buy on the DS, and so it's certainly worth it. I would say when this game comes out, buy it physically and hold on to it, because this will probably take off in value when the Switch gets older. So this is a good time to buy it. And that's also true for the second series that they announced that's getting a remaster. Now, again, this other game, there's several games in the series. This one harkens back to the GameCube era, and that is Baten Kaitos. Johnny would like Baten Kaitos if he's never played it, because it is a card-based RPG.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with this one at all.
There's several games in the series, and it seems like this gives you 1 and 2. Now, 2 was only released elsewhere. That one never came to the United States. So Baten Kaitos 1, 2, and then Baten Kaitos Origins. Origins is fucking crazy expensive on the GameCube. So this is a great chance for people to experience that game that didn't get to play it the first time around. Hopefully the just larger player base reinvigorates some of the interest in these. Certainly, a quick warning to anyone who is collecting old video games. If you have any aspiration in buying the originals, stop listening right now and just fucking buy them. Because anytime there's a re-release of a game series, the game values of the originals skyrocket. We're seeing that right now with Armored Core. Just the announcement that a new Armored Core game is coming has caused the prices for the old Armored Core games to fucking triple and quadruple. Imagine the same thing happening here. Granted, these are not as popular game series, but you still will see a spike in price on both of these. So if you're trying to buy the originals, God bless you, and do it now before this really cements. You probably have about a week before people start buying the shit up that are into collecting. So good luck. But if you miss out or just don't care to buy the originals like me, just wait for these collections to come out and play it on your stinky Switch. Johnny, anything to say on Bat and Kaitos or Etrian Odyssey?
No, these are two franchises I wasn't familiar with at all, but I'm loving all this old school RPG love that the Switch is getting. It's wild. I mean, this is going to be even once this console is dead and gone, I still think I'm going to be playing old JRPGs on family vacations and shit on this console.
So buried in back catalog with this shit. It's unreal. All right. What's your next pick, sir?
My next pick is one that they announced a while ago, and it got delayed because the Ukrainian war broke out, and that's Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp. Anybody who listens to the channel on a regular basis knows that I do like turn-based strategy games. And Advance Wars, I only played the first one on my my what was it?
The Advance.
What was the Advance SP? Was that the folding one?
Yep.
I had a silver Advance SP, and I played the absolute shit out of Golden Sun and Advance Wars. Advance Wars is a very cutesy art style for a war game, but it works. And I remember how devastating the right unit against other units can be. You know, if they have a big fleet of jets and you have a big enough anti-aircraft group, you just wipe them all out. Incredibly addictive. Very simple concept. It's a grid base where you can move your vehicles and move your things around, but it has a fog of war, so you don't know what you're getting into until you get that. So you'll have your infantry like, oh, let's check what's over on this side of the map. You're like, oh my god, there's a base and there's fucking 5 fleets of tanks and 10 things of soldiers, and like, oh my god, and they just get instantly wiped out. But at least now you know where the enemy is. But I'm really looking forward to this. This is definitely a buy for me. I loved the first one, and perfect, especially for if anybody that plays the Switch portable. This is a perfect in your pocket sort of game. Can't wait. Did you ever play either of the Advance Wars games?
On the actual Game Boy Advance, but not since then. Because I know they were like on Virtual Console and stuff, but I never.
Yeah, I never did them on the Virtual Console. I had them on my Advance SP and played the shit out of it.
I played them on my buddy Kevin's non-backlit original fucking Advance back in the day. So, been a long time. I am going to grab these when they come out and tackle them, as well as a Bayonetta game. My third pick. We've seen this before, but we saw more of it, and I'm very intrigued. I've been intrigued by Bayonetta for some time. I own most of the games, and they're very high on my back catalog list of things to tackle. Even though they don't look like my cup of tea. Enter Bayonetta Origins, Cereza and the Lost Demon. So this does look right up my alley. This is another cool kind of isometric view game where you play as a young Bayonetta, who is Cereza in this game, and you control her and her demon, who is Charlie. Looks like Charlie, but they pronounce it Charlie's in the trailer. So the deal is that Bayonetta can't attack. She can only move around and command her demon to do attacking, which I love that concept. So it seems like a very kind of like tactically puzzle game. Very cute art style, like the story. Seems to be more story-focused, setting up the background for Bayonetta. And every time I've seen this game, I just think it's very charming looking. And it comes out in about a month. So March 17th, we will see this Bayonetta origin story. And I am excited for it and wanted to highlight that because I think I'm going to pick it up. So, Johnny, if you have anything to say on that game, great. If not, what is your final pick?
My final pick, another one that's on my fantasy draft this year, one that Mike was not aware of until I had brought it up. Sea of Stars. Oh my God. This game looks like pure magic. I cannot wait for this game. Any fans of the Super Nintendo era RPGs, specifically Chrono Trigger, this is sort of a love letter to that era of games. And they got Masunori Mitsuda to guest compose some of the tracks here. Anybody that's not familiar with him, Xenogears, Chrono Trigger, all the Xenoblade games. I believe he even did a bunch of the arrangements for Smash Bros. Brawl. He's a legendary video game composer, and they got him in on this. And if you have not seen the trailer for this game, you really should pull it up and take a look. It looks absolutely incredible. I think this is going to be a Game of the Year contender, in my opinion. I think it looks really, really special.
Or just download the fucking demo like I did.
Have you checked it out yet?
I'm waiting till I put down some of these games this week. This is going to be like, when we come back next week, I'm going to be like, well, I finished this, and I finished this.
You're on the precipice with all these different games. Yep.
So I'm waiting. But no, I have it downloaded and ready to go. So I will be checking out the demo.
It just looks outstanding. And that's out August 29th, so we do have to wait a little while for that one.
Well, that wraps up the things that we were excited about from Nintendo Direct. Now, the last big piece of news this week, we'd be remiss not to talk about it because this is a very time and place kind of thing. So it has only been a couple of days now, but Hogwarts Legacy has finally released. I just wanted to swing around on it because it's having what I would call a historic launch. So our final segment of this week is the historic launch of Hogwarts. Some interesting things to point out. Number one, there was 500,000 concurrent players on Steam in pre-release. Anyone that pre-ordered the game, I think it was anyone that pre-ordered the game at all, or it was either that or the deluxe. I think it was just regular game.
I think it was just pre-order, yeah.
But did so on Steam, and I think on consoles as well, but we had the data for Steam. Was able to play the game in early access, like 3 days early. And the highest game ever in that phase was Cyberpunk. And now the second highest is Hogwarts. So 500,000 people playing the game concurrently before the game is even released, and that's just on Steam.
Yeah.
Next, our call that the game was going to get bombed was false. The game has, from critics, a 90 rating presently on Metacritic. Now, a lot of the review sites you go to have to point out, for, I guess, their own personal reasons, that they're separating the product from the creator of the world. Yeah. More on that in a second. Next point, CNN reporting on the game. So they predict that the development cost of this game to be about $150 million, and that sounds about right. But with the current pre-order figures, it seems like this game is going to smash past even the strong sell point of 10 million units. Who knows where this stops? I mean, Cyberpunk crossed the 20 million marker already. But just doing simple math, I mean, it's $60 on Steam and $70 on consoles. So if we said that, you know, it sold 10 million copies at 60 apiece, that's $600 million.
And it's not even on the legacy consoles yet. I don't think it's on PS4. I don't think it's on Xbox One, and I don't think it's on Switch
much later on those consoles.
So, I mean, these are huge numbers for just PS5, Series X, and PC.
So the game is going to be very profitable. So my final point here today, and this is, I just kind of want opinion here. is there was a lot of protesting and noise on this game that doesn't seem to have had any effect on anything. So I guess my thought process here, my questioning is it seems like most people don't have any problems separating the IP from its creator, who's no longer involved. Yep. People don't seem to struggle with that. And these people who are buying the game are your friends and allies. If you are part of minority, marginalized communities.
Yep.
So, considering how much noise has been made, and there's so little impact, one can only assume that there's a very small portion of people that have any problem with this. So why are their voices so loud in comparison to everyone else? This game is selling as if there's no controversy around it at all, that it's just completely manufactured nonsense. And yet, every site you turn on the internet, every review you read has its asterisk, and no one seems to give a flying fuck. And I don't think that's to say that people are racist or phobic or anything like that. I think it's to say that people are mature creatures that can separate what's important from what isn't, and what affects change or creates change and what doesn't, and what is just pointless soapboxing versus what is actually doing things. As a former sales manager, I used to have a saying, never mistake activity for results, right? You can be very active. Let's say you're walking across the sales floor back and forth really hard, saying hi to everyone, but you're not fucking closing any sales. So it doesn't matter how hard you're working. You're not getting any results. And my whole time watching this, I've been thinking to myself, I'm like, well, doesn't J.K. Rowling get money from HBO? Doesn't she get money from Warner Brothers? Doesn't she get money from Lego? Doesn't she get money from the publisher of her books?
Universal as well,
Doesn't she get tons of money from Universal?
Yeah.
It's like, so why are we focused on this one thing? And I think it's just the fickle, foolish nature of people to pick battles, think they're really important, dig their heels in, burn their relationships with their friends, all for nothing.
Yeah.
And that really annoys me.
Well,
I'll say one more thing, and then I'll pass you the mic here. Like a streamer who I've been following for a long time just made a post on Twitter, and he says, if I see any of you playing this game, I'm going to unfollow you, basically. Stop supporting you. I'm like, I don't give a flying fuck about Harry Potter, but I just fucking unfollowed him, unsubbed from his channel, and blocked his ass. I'm like, fuck this guy. What was the point of that? What do these people think they're accomplishing? And meanwhile, he's streaming a game from fucking EA. Yeah, thanks for supporting the Saudis, dude. Looks great.
Yeah.
Good job. They fucking actually murdered people last month. So you're real smart, dude. Cool. Let's stick a fork in this, Johnny. What do you have to say closing on Hogwarts?
Earlier today, I saw a headline, and then a few hours later I saw another headline on the same fucking thing, and then an hour or two later I saw another headline for the same fucking thing. What I think fuels this shit is the clickbait nature of news. If there are 10 people tweeting about something, and some guy from some website goes, I bet I could get clicks from that one. So they make a tasty headline, and they make a post of, fans are up in arms about. The article that I saw today, 3 times, was about Chick-fil-A is testing a cauliflower chicken sandwich. So it's cauliflower breaded and seasoned like their chicken breast and put onto a sandwich. Okay. And the headline was, that some people are really upset about the sandwich. And in each one of these articles, it's like you go there and it's like, here's 5 people that tweeted, I don't need your stupid woke sandwich and my Christian chickens. I mean, that's what it is, right? Is these couple dumbasses that are like actually mad about, by the way, Chick-fil-A is testing this sandwich in 3 fucking markets. Like, first off, why I've never been angry about somebody adding something to their menu. If it sounds gross, I say ooh and I move on. But there are some people that get really upset about stupid things. Now, there are people being upset about J.K. Rowling is not stupid. I agree with that decision. But I do think that them saying, if you buy this game, you're no longer an ally, I can't. I mean, we've gone down this road, but what I think fuels that fire is clickbait. I think, to answer your question of how does such a small minority get such of an impact on the internet, and it is that divisiveness, that sports ball thing that the internet can't seem to get away from, right? You can't be against J.K. Rowling and support this game. You can't do that. That's against the rules. You can't. You either are against her and you can't buy this video game, or if you have a friend that plays this video game, you're all transphobes and you're all evil and none of you are allies anymore. And it's just that type of thought doesn't get us anywhere. It doesn't fuel change.
No, fuck those people. Is how I feel about it. Fuck those people. Like that's so hypocritical. It's just the kettle calling the pot black, basically. You know, and the irony here too is there is a trans character like right away in this game. Yep. So like anyone worried about like all the Ben Shapiro fucking dick suckers like loving this game, they're gonna turn it off the second they meet this character.
Yep.
But I don't see the only people I see complaining about the trans character are the same people saying they're going to block you for playing this game.
Yeah. Yep, they're making TikTok saying this isn't good enough.
It's like, so what do you do? What do you do? I saw one person bitching and all these retweets going, oh, really? The character's name is Saronis?
Sirona.
I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah. By the way, you're tweeting on Twitter, which is run by Elon Musk, who is also a transphobe. Are you going to cancel your Twitter account? You're putting money in his fucking pocket. Where do we draw the line?
These people are just so dumb. I don't get it.
I made a TikTok last night about this because I saw a TikTok that got me so fucking annoyed that I had to comment on it. And I went back to your point, which is if you play an EA game, you're supporting the Saudi government that literally beheads LGBT people. Like that is an actual
punishable
thing.
By death there.
So then I said, look, we as a people in the world of late stage capitalism are stuck navigating that world by latching on to the things that we enjoy. If you enjoy Harry Potter and you want to play the Harry Potter game, don't let anyone else's opinion stop you from playing the Harry Potter game. That's it.
And it's one of those things where it's like, again, I don't want this message to get lost in my bitching. But like, if you feel like it's wrong for you to do it, don't do it. Don't do it.
Absolutely.
But don't tell anyone else what to do.
Correct.
Just don't. Because anytime you do that, there's hypocrisy there. I guarantee it. It's either something that you're wearing, or some other game that you're playing, or some piece of technology in your house, or some food that you're eating. There's no way to live a fully moral life as a consumer. So just do what's right for you and fuck off with the rest.
Yep. And don't worry about what everybody else is doing with their money.
Because clearly
it's not your dollar.
And the kind of bring everything back around to put the bow on this and kick it dead forever so we don't ever have to talk about this game again, is all the upset and anger and destroyed friendships and everything else that happened because of this game. And guess what? No one cares. It's selling like crazy. So stop it.
Yep.
It doesn't work. Just do what's right for you. Let everyone else do what's right for them. Vote for the people you need to vote for. Get people out of office who are transphobes. But don't worry about the person that wrote a book 20 years ago who's already a billionaire.
Yeah.
Worry about the things that matter. Please.
Well, and if that's your soapbox, if that's your line in the sand of I'm not going to support this game because of the connection to J.K. Rowling, again, we're agreeing with that decision.
Yeah, more power to you.
When your friend goes, "Hey, did you play the new Hogwarts game?" and you say no, tell them why you didn't buy it. That's all that needs to be done. You don't need to judge them for doing it. Just say, "Nah, I can't." I mean, here, one final analogy, and we'll officially wrap it up. You just finished High on Life,
yes,
right? I played an hour or two of it, and then didn't touch it, and then the Justin Roiland shit broke out, and I uninstalled the game the other day. I was just like, I can't. His voice is all over it, and like I know he was grooming like 15-year-old teenagers. I can't do it. It doesn't mean I got mad at you for playing the fucking game. I don't care. It's fine. I don't want to do it. So
it's like me and the Flash. This Flash movie. I'm not going to touch this Flash movie with a fucking 1,000-yard pole because Ezra Miller weirds me out.
Yeah,
you know, he had all this shit with grooming this couple's child and fucking breaking into houses and shit. Like, I'm good. I just anytime I see that person, that's all I think of. You know, he's another R. Kelly to me, and it's like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, they're a mess.
Glad you like the movie, James Gunn, but I'm sitting this one out. You know, but I'm not going to tell anybody that loves the Flash, oh, you can't go see this.
Yeah.
Shit, exactly. I don't give a fuck. You know, that's what the actor did, and if that doesn't bother you, more power fucking to you.
I saw Keaton in the bat suit and said, "Yep, you've got my money. I'll be there. I got the ickies from Ezra, but I'm still going to watch that movie."
All good.
I want to see Keaton Batman.
I do too, but I'm not watching something with Ezra Miller in it.
And that's fine.
It's too weird for me.
And see, look, and I'm not mad at you.
I'm not mad at you either.
I'm going to go see it, and you're not.
Stay away from my children, you pervert.
Yeah. Oh no, that's it. We got to cancel the podcast, y'all. Johnny's going to go watch that Flash movie. He's supporting Ezra Miller.
I played that High on Life game. It means I want to lock you up in a basement somewhere.
That's right. Yeah. You support teenage sex trafficking.
We both sound stupid when we say it like that. You know what I mean? It's just like what's even the point? What's even the point? It just makes us feel better, I guess. I guess. Hogwarts historic launch. It's going to make fucking tons of money. And
we will talk about it some more when I start playing it at the end of the month.
And everyone who supported the good things yesterday still support them today. I want trans people to be able to do everything anyone else can do in this world. And if I play Hogwarts, guess what? It doesn't change that. It doesn't change it at all. We want freedom for everyone, regardless of how you think, how you dress, what your view on the world is, so long as your view on the world isn't fucking being awful and oppressing other people. I got you. It doesn't matter what games I play. Not going to change how I feel.
Correct.
Moving on to our final segment of the week, Johnny. It is time for One Up. What's your One Up this week, sir?
My one-up is a surprise release from Double Fine this week. When they did their last point-and-click adventure game, I'm drawing a blank on the name of it, but they released like a multi-hour documentary making of the game. And I found it fascinating to see the artists working on the different characters and then bringing Jack Black in to do the voiceover work and how do we build the engine to play this game. And I've always been a fan of behind the scenes stuff. Like my favorite thing about the Lord of the Rings extended edition is the 2 discs that comes with each movie with it's like 4 or 5 hours of behind the scenes shit. Like I eat that shit up. I love seeing how the sauce is made. Double Fine just released a 35-episode over 20-hour long of the making of Psychonauts 2. It's called Psych Odyssey, so it's PSYCH Odyssey, and there are over 35 episodes of it. I've only watched one, and I fucking loved it. I'm probably going to watch all of it. Actually, your guy you love on Forbes, he was raving about
Jason
it as well.
Schreier?
Jason Schreier.
That's right up his alley.
He said it's a must watch. I'm really, really loving it. So if you enjoy behind the scenes stuff, and especially if you like Psychonauts 2, check it out. Watch an episode or two, see what you think. But I've watched one episode, and I loved it. Loved it. Can't wait to watch more.
My one up this week is that TV show, The Last of Us.
Bro.
Couple things. Number one, they put out this week's episode early because of the Super Bowl. Guys, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do that.
No.
I mean, that was cool, but you don't need to do that.
And now I got to wait 9 days till the next
I
one.
don't. You know why? Because I watched it at its normal time. Just because I want that viewer tick to have been there right in the middle of the fucking Super Bowl, so they can be like, even if I was the only person on the planet, they're like, wow, some motherfucker.
Wait, what? Did the server just turn on? What did the server turn on?
Oh my God,
for?
somebody's watching the show.
Apparently, this guy in Maryland watching The Last of Us, sir. Oh my God, we did it, Johnson. We bloody did it.
Now they know. Yes, I watched it at its regular scheduled time, and every little tweak that they make for the TV show is very welcome feeling. As a huge fan and proponent for the original game, every little tweak they do is special and smart and just really well done in turning this into something different enough to justify making a TV show, because they do follow the game eerily close. Which, I mean, to be frank, if they just redid the game as a TV show, that shit wouldn't work. But
yeah,
so we got all that extra background on Frank and Bill in episode 3. We got the whole Pittsburgh scene, but taking place in Kansas City in last week's episode. And then this week we got the whole like deep background on Henry and Sam and why they're on the run. And like, that's way more fleshed out. And then there's some really cool changes to their characters that make a lot of sense. Yes. They kind of change one of the famous interactions between Sam and Ellie towards the end. That's like really fucking crazy and awesome. But they stay true to the source material the whole time. And it's way more scary than the game is. So I really, really like it. The show is just drawing more and more viewers every week. It's absolutely insane how many people are watching this right now. So
yeah,
big shout out to The Last of Us TV show. I guess we're about halfway through now. So
yep. Well, so I wanted to chime in on that. There's one of my favorite things about the show is they have been diverting a little bit and fleshing some things out, but then there'll be these moments that are straight out of the video game. Line for line, shot for shot, direct love letter to the video game. And I like the fact that if it were that the whole time, it would get old. If anybody who's played the game is going to go, all right, I'm literally just watching the game again. But I like that there are some scenes in the game that worked so well that they just went, well, it's just that is the scene. We're just doing that again.
Yeah, there's certain decisions that they've made in the TV show that I wish were present in the game, particularly in this most recent episode. But
also, shout out to the 8-year-old boy in that episode. He's actually a Bowie native. He lives here in Maryland.
I don't know his name.
I don't know his name either, but he is a local Maryland resident. He lives 15 minutes away from us.
So, yes, Sam's character is very well known in The Last of Us. So we won't spoil anything here, though. Watch the show.
No spoilers. Go watch it.
Johnny, that wraps up what I have to talk about this week. Do you have any closing thoughts as we depart?
No, we'll see everybody next week. Thanks for listening, tuning in. Tell your friends. Check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/H3LLH3RO.
Yes, as Johnny combats his sleep schedule nightly, chasing his
Exactly.
Twitch aspirations. So we will, of course, be back again next week with another great episode of the Power Gamer podcast for you to enjoy. Until then, I'm Mike Dawson.
And I'm Johnny
Tune
Paulus.
in next time. Take care.
Catch you on the flip flop.
Oh, yeah.